What's up, everybody? Once again, it is I, James, coming to you from the Nerdy Mewzings podcast studio. And I am joined today by somebody I met at a comic convention. Mr. Manuel Martinez is here. How you doing today, sir?
And happy to be here.
Happy to have you. Yeah, I remember they had you guys kind of in a little bit of a obscure area in Emerald City Comic Con this year.
Yeah. Yeah. We were off in a corner. um, they move people around a lot in that convention. It's a matter of it. They changed ownership in the last few years.
Yes,
And since they've
Repop,
changed,
right?
yeah, Repop, it's been a little inconsistent as to where you've been and what tables are offering you. So
Yeah. It feels like it's the vibe has changed. The vibe has shifted at ECC. I don't know how long. Like, have you been there before? Have you been a exhibitor at ECC prior to this?
I was 2 years prior to Repop buying it. So, but it
Okay.
is, yeah. I came, a buddy of mine, Eric Arriaga, had a table there for like 17 years or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
We do some work together, and he asked me to sit at the table with him. Asked if I wanted to be part of the table with him. Um, so, and that was before Repop got in. They were just coming out of COVID, that whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, excuse me, the vibe does feel a little different. It's
Yeah. I've been
it,
going there since it was in a little, and I'm sure Eric has too. It was like in one little room, almost like, you know, how if you go to a conference at a hotel that's being hosted in one of the small, like it
yeah.
wasn't much bigger than that
Okay.
when we first started going. So to see it scale to the level that it has is pretty spectacular. But my wife and I noticed like it I don't know. It's kind of a stretch calling it a Comic Con now because there's not a lot
Yeah,
of comic
yeah.
vendors anymore.
I think
And
the bigger they get, the the less comic con-y like they feel. I mean, they turn into sort of like popular media, popular culture cons, right?
yes.
You do see less vendors. That's right when you mentioned that you went to it initially when it was like the basement of a hotel. Sometimes those are the best cons,
Oh, for sure.
right? Like if you're still about, I guess we call it the source material. If you want to talk to creators, if you want to talk to people who are making their books, if you want to talk to artists who are just like entrenched in the industry, those small cons don't offer the collectibles or like the big ticket items because
Yeah.
Marvel or Dark Horse, someone's doing like some crazy release. So there's so much more intimate and so much more personal.
Yeah. Those are the ones that I'm all about. This year, Washington SummerCon here in Washington State, it still has that feel. So there were tons of comic vendors. There were tons of, they brought in some more big name artists like, you know, my buddy Todd Beats was there, Dan Panosian
Nice.
was there,
Nice.
Simon Bisley was there. Like it was pretty cool. And it still had that Comic Con feel to it. Like I think guys like you and me, we're about going there and, you know, getting inspired by the beautiful artwork and getting
Oh,
to interact
man.
with some of these people that we look up to, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Also, there's nothing better than discovering somebody new.
Oh yeah.
For whatever reason, it was a blind spot for you, or like, and then you just come across it and have that exact same moment of like, it takes me back to being a kid. The first time you
Yeah,
open up a book and you're like, oh, who's this artist? You
exactly.
get to have that at a table, and then you have the person in front of you, and you get to just like dive into the conversation with them.
And that's a good segue because that's how I discovered you. You know, I had followed Eric a little bit on Instagram, but I'd never met him in person. And I'm standing there talking to him, and you're right next to him. And that's how we made this connection and why we're
Yeah.
here today. So I saw your red tape book and loved the art in there. Tell
Oh,
me a
thank
little
you.
bit
Thank you.
about how red tape came to be.
Um, So doing comics for a long time, doing comic conventions for a while, and I've done some layouts, and I've done some commercial work here and there. So I'm pretty much a hired illustrator at this point, like a freelance illustrator. Um, but I hadn't gotten on any projects, like any monthly books, right?
Right.
And my buddies just kind of kept bugging me. They're like, you have people following you. You have people coming to cons to find your art, to talk to you. You should put out a book. And there's no lack of ideas. It's just a matter of committing to getting something done.
For sure.
So years ago, I hitched the story to a buddy who was an actual writer. My buddy Sean Maher. He was writing for the Oakland Tribune at the time. And I was like, I have some ideas for a story. Can you like help me flesh out the conversations that I have a hard time writing? Like I have these big ideas, right? Like I have the layout of the entire story arc. I have these weaknesses I have that I know I have in writing that I can go to an actual writer to help me out. So it was just a matter of, getting the ball rolling, getting the confidence too, to like occasionally just write something yourself. And I'm no Hemingway, but I can choreograph a chase scene. And I joke that this book is just an excuse to have a really, really extravagant chase scene.
There you go. Now, was he into comics as well? Your writing friend?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh,
we used to work at a restaurant together. And you just find your people. Like,
yes.
There's just a natural law of attraction when you like, oh, you're a geek too about this. It doesn't matter what else you're doing. You could be like, I love going and playing ball all the time. I was playing basketball constantly. And he's like, you're kind of a jock in that way. And I'm like, no, but I draw every day and I love comics. And he was on the other side. He was like, always felt like, oh, this guy's like the high school valedictorian. You didn't, we would never have come together, but working at a restaurant together and then suddenly talking about comics, it just flowed. Like at that point, like, and to this day, like he is now my best friend. That dude is I was his best man. He was my best man, awesome. That kind of thing. So like,
Yeah. I love that about comics and art. Just like we could be completely different from one another, but that's the underlying thread that bonds us and connects us and, brings people together. That's one of the really cool things about comic conventions. Like you get there and you're among your people, right?
Oh, absolutely. I have a buddy who calls it nerdvana.
Yeah.
And I love that term because that's what it feels like. There's the element of you finding your tribe.
Yes.
And I mean, so I'm 53 and I'm of the age where like you couldn't be so open about loving comics without being like put in a trash can in high school kind of thing.
Yeah.
Not that ever happened to me, but it's not as popular as it is now.
Yeah, and it wasn't as socially acceptable when you and I were coming up in life.
Yeah.
It was a little bit different. It wasn't a badge of honor like it is now. Like the term nerd is like a badge of honor now, and there's actually people who probably don't fit the description that like to claim it. Like, oh, I'm a nerd.
Oh,
I'm such a big nerd, and you're like. Are you though? Were you ostracized because you like to read funny books, Yeah. Times have changed, especially. Do you feel that shift occurred when kind of the Marvel movies took off with Iron Man and everything?
Yeah, I think it was already on its way. The Marvel movies just kind of like kicked the door down.
Yeah.
Prior to that, because we had movement on like, I remember Blade being a big deal. Blade was
a big deal, but they didn't really market that as a comic book movie.
Well, and that's what I was going to get to. That I ended up. There are movies out there that I would proudly tell friends, I'm like, that's a comic, right? And people were
Yeah.
like, what do you mean? I'm like, yeah, like, so for
You
all,
and I knew. You and
right,
I
right.
knew.
So for all the like the dorky grief I would get, like, I don't know who you're going to go for, you comic dork. I'm like, yeah, I don't know either, whatever. But you just watched the comic movie and you
Yeah.
liked it. So it's nice to point these things out. Even something like Road to Perdition, right? Road to Perdition was a comic first. And most
Yeah.
people were like, there's no way that was a book first because everyone thinks comics are cape and tights,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm like, there's a lot of like really great stories out there. It's just a medium to tell a story. Like it doesn't have to be cape and tights.
Yeah, there was a lot of people surprised, like with Blade, and a lot of people didn't like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, but that was another one. You had
Right.
Sean Connery in there and everything. It was like a fun, silly adventure. Like, yeah, it was always fun, like pointing it out to people, like, hey, that came from a comic book. That's not like from a novel.
Absolutely. And then stuff like Spider-Man started really pushing, right? We finally got to the point where we could do effects well enough to give you a convincing character on screen, to give you,
Yes.
where it doesn't feel like it's some poor guy in a suit being swung around at the end of a metal cable, hoping he doesn't fall off and die.
Yes.
We actually have CG that could make that character look, believable, in the movie. We are asking people to suspend disbelief.
Big time.
It's nice when the effects have caught up to the imagination.
For sure. Now, I got a bit ahead of myself. I wanted to ask you about your early beginnings in your art. And
sure.
For a lot of us, it started when we were kids. I have a feeling like most people are that way that I talk to who have artistic ability or have been attracted to art. Was that the case for yourself?
Absolutely. I think my junior high teacher, Mrs. Webb, like I still remember her name, was the first person who was enthusiastic about all forms of art.
Oh, nice.
And it was the first person I remember thinking, or now looking back, I realized that she was just kind of fishing around to see what you would gravitate towards. And I think that's pretty rare in anybody, in a teacher specifically, considering you have to teach a course or whatever. But she was like, well, you like pencil and ink. So we're going to, here's all this stuff, explore everything. But I think you'd like to live here for a minute. So she would let you make up your own projects. I thought that was pretty amazing. And then like everyone else, you go through high school and if you're art, being an enthusiast and you try to figure out who you are, you just run through all the art classes. I definitely did that. And started taking everything that was art one. I took ceramics. I took, I even took some theater classes.
Holy cow. There you go.
Because it was storytelling.
Yes.
Right. Just little things like that. Yeah. And talking about being that sort of like geek in high school where, you sort of couldn't be so loud and proud about it. We would play Dungeons and Dragons in one of our English teacher's classes. She would give us the classroom for an hour during lunchtime and we would play D&D. And I don't know if you play D&D or for those who haven't, there are moments where you have these long periods where your character might not be doing anything, right? Like you're a part of a campaign and there's 4 of the players. And for whatever reason, you've got a little downtime, but you got to be there for the story. It's an active game, right? You don't just, but there are moments where you are a little passive. I started drawing the adventures we were having. So it was like, it was just this fun sort of cartoon thing you could do. And at the end of the game, I'm like, look at this scene. This is where we all died because this snake, 50-foot snake came out of the ceiling and crushed your buddy. And if nothing else, it was to make fun of your buddy who just got killed by this snake. Right. I had 2 other really big influences in high school. And funny enough, they were not artists. The 2 teachers that were influenced big, massive influences for me were a journalism teacher, because it was still at the point where you had a journalism class and you put out a physical paper.
Yep.
So that's where I learned about like setting copy to be ready to send out to be printed. And we would have these empty spots sometimes. And I got to be like, I became like a deadline monster, because I would have the writer who just wrote that article or review. I mean, can you give me a drawing in this? I need it by like 5:00. So in high school, I'm like trying to smash deadlines. I didn't know that
Yeah.
that's what I was doing really, but I was excited to do it. So, yeah, Mr. Simone was that was the teacher who taught the journalism class, Robert Simone. And he just sort of like let us go. So it was a very professional environment. It actually got me out of the idea that art could be. It got me out of the idea of like art just for fun, and like only I do it and no one has an opinion about it and everything I do is great. It's like that's sort of like stuff you put up on the fridge because your mom is like, "Oh, my son, that's so great. That's oh,
Yeah.
you're the best." Like I got feedback and it pulled me away from being precious about my art. Right? Like I would draw something, I'd do a sketch, and they're like, "All right, that's great, but can you do this to it?" Sure, and we change it, and then once I got approved, then I could go to ink, and so it was like I didn't know I was learning this very professional process. I didn't know I was getting maybe even a little thicker skin because I wasn't, I wouldn't be offended if someone, had an opinion about my art or had wanted to change it. So that was super important. And because I'd run through all the art classes in high school, I ended up in a cartography class.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it was solely on the recommendation of a guy who was a senior before me, who goes, "Just take Mr. Lane's cartography class." And I'm like, "Dude, that's map making. What am I going to do in map making?" um, but I took his class, and that was probably where I learned to be a project manager. And I didn't know I was learning it, because he had the foundation of what you had to learn as far as like making a map, right? But he would also let you make up your projects as well. So if you submitted a project with him, his requirements were the project has to have a legend on there so we know the scale of your map, and it has to have a map on there. He goes, other than that, it's kind of free reign. And he would give us the set projects he was going to do for the semester. And then would tell us, if you think any of these are boring, make up your own project. Like,
Sweet.
go ahead and give it a shot. And what a great idea. So Michael Jordan was a massive influence, like a massive figure in the world then. And I remember thinking how much I loved his Nike ads. So I asked if I could make an ad using a map and drawing Michael Jordan in some pose somewhere. And he was like, "Yeah, write it down, submit. Let me look at it. Give me a day to do it, a day to review it." And said, "This is great. You should totally move on with this." So he approved it. And then while I started the project, all of a sudden, everyone else in class is coming over to me and going, "Hey, we heard you have the project." I'm like, "Well, no, I have my project." And everyone's like, "Well, that sounds really cool. How do we do it?" So like genius, dude, like he stopped teaching the class because I'm now teaching the class on, well, here's what we do and here are the parameters, and like it should be an advertisement. So the whole thing I'd written down to submit to him, that was my template. And I actually ended up like grading some of these projects because,
Oh, wow.
yeah, Mr. Lane, and that was the teacher, Mr. Lane, was like, "Well, come on, this is your project, so you're probably the best man to help me grade these." And so like those two teachers, not being artists, sort of nurturing this creative person really, really gave me some invaluable skills. And to this day, I'm still flying.
Yeah, that's so cool. And it, man, I don't know that that occurs much anymore. I would like to hope that it does, but it seems to me like you have all these great teachers that aren't necessarily from the field that you would like to be in. With comic book art is probably a big departure from the things they were teaching, but they were subtly teaching you things with you kind of putting those connections together after the fact in how they were guiding you and helping you develop these different skill sets.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, it's just being able to nurture someone uh, and give them like I don't joke, but I say a lot of times I understand not having like putting yourself out there and having the confidence to do it. Sometimes you need to borrow someone else's courage to do it, and I think a good teacher does that for you.
Yeah.
Or even someone you just meet. Like I've watched people approach me at a table with their portfolio and not wanting to show it to me, but I could see it. So years ago, I was that person. I remember I walked by Angel Medina, and I was just chatting him up, and I was like curious about how he penciled and his technique, this and that, and he sees my portfolio in my bag and in my messenger bag. He goes, "Oh man, you're ready to work, aren't you?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, you haven't even showed me your portfolio," and it took him asking for me to have that courage to show it to him, because I was fanning out, and I was like, "Oh, I'm okay, and I want to show you." But he goes, "Come on, let me see your portfolio." And that nervousness just left me, because he was so welcoming to take the time to look at my portfolio. So yeah, sometimes someone will let you borrow their courage for a while, and you should, if you have that moment, you should run with it. So yeah, I'm super grateful for those teachers, and because I had a family that really, really supported me as far as like being an artist, but we're a big Mexican family who doesn't have any artists in their family.
Okay.
So they're like, "Yeah, mijo, whatever you want to do, we got you," but no one has a path for you. No one has a direction they can point you in. So the support is there, but you are kind of, I was fumbling around, kind of going like, well, who do I go to next? Who do I talk to next about whatever next step is? And it took some years, because I had a talent, but I wasn't sure how to develop it. Everyone you spoke to has everyone you've spoken to in this art world has a different path. Very few people have the same linear.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've discovered that talking to everybody. Like, no one has the same story. Not to say that because you're a lawyer you have the same story, but it feels like there's more logical steps. Like there's a progress you go to. Oh, I went to my 4-year. I got to law school. I took the bar exam. I'm here. I might as well. Yeah. There's a version of that for artists, but a lot of it is it's like the direction you took to get there is different for everybody.
Yeah, and it's changing. Like, it's an ever changing thing now. Like, back in the day, it was like go and show your portfolio and do all these different things. Like, Marvel and DC had actual offices. Like, it was a very different time.
Yeah.
Like that people would go to visit. And now it's like a lot people getting discovered on social media. Like, I've had several people that have been on here where like Thomas Nalick, who works for McFarlane, Todd discovered him on Instagram, and he got a message out of nowhere. "Hey, Todd McFarlane wants to meet with you." He's like, "What?"
Right.
Just because Todd. And I had, I had the EOC on here recently, Thomas Healy, the EOC of Todd McFarlane Productions, and he said Todd will send him artists all the time. Like 3 a.m. he's scrolling his phone looking at art on Instagram. You're like, "Hey, reach out to this guy." Yeah. So like a whole
Yeah.
different level of, getting discovered and potentially having your entry into the industry come via one of the biggest names in comics reaching
Right.
out to you
Yeah.
for your talent.
That's incredible because you mentioning that I'm on the West Coast. I'm in the Sacramento area right now. But I remember my youngest sister asked me if it would make more sense if I moved to the East Coast near
Yeah.
the offices of all these comic companies to get work. And it was something I considered. I'm like, well, like all these books are set in cities, and I don't live in a big city, and um, San Francisco is as great as it was when I was going to school there, doesn't look like New York City and the place where Spider-Man's swinging around, right?
Yeah, not at all.
But the idea that the offices were there and that I might have to move there just so I can walk in every month or two and be like, here's my portfolio. Here's my portfolio.
Yeah.
Was an actual thing. And now to think that could scroll through your Instagram feed and go, hey, give this guy a call. Like, man,
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine that ever happening.
Yeah, I think he said Todd searches the hashtag comic art on Instagram and we'll just scroll. And like I told my buddies, hey, make sure to put this hashtag on your thing.
The first thing I thought of.
After I talked to him, I'm like, all right, hey guys, get on this. he's out there. He's out there fishing.
Right. Just put comic art on everything. It doesn't matter what it is now.
Well, speaking of comic art, was this a direction you thought you would go in? Was the love of comics running in parallel with this ever-growing love of art and building your art skill set?
Absolutely. I don't think there's a moment in my life where comics haven't been present or an influence on the direction I wanted to take my life. Having said that, there was a moment when I was going to school specifically to be an art historian.
Okay.
So that felt like a great way to encompass art and education. And I really love art history. Teachers hated hearing this. And I'm not going to lie, not just teachers, people who really have like the separation of like fine art versus comic art.
Yes.
Or like I would joke that like, the Sistine Chapel is just a really great comic, right? Like
yeah,
you look up
man.
and there everyone's doing this amazing storytelling, like pictures and storytelling. But yeah, comic. I really wanted to just make a living doing art, like, and it's such a simple thing, I think, to say. But I wanted art to pay my bills. And I learned that as I went on, as I got older, right? So never always buying comics, always being present around the art form. It's something that's constantly developed. It's just how I see the world now, right? Everything's a story. It's like through comics,
right.
And I get to pay my bills doing art. I'm a freelance illustrator and I do cons now, and I make some money. I make money at cons selling prints. I do commissions. I have the book I'm trying to get done. I do layouts for people if they have a script and they don't have time to finish rendering it. I'll do some layouts for you. I do concept art. Story, like I look at movies and understand storyboarding. I've done that, and all of that has come from reading comic books.
Yeah.
Like I know I have an education and background in art history, but the core of everything I do, you can open up a comic book and everything I do exists in between those pages.
Do you have a comic from your youth that really stands out in your mind?
Oh yeah.
Like, whether it was the art or the story.
I can tell, it's up on my wall.
What's the one?
Every time I find it in a box, I buy it. I
Which
have
one
an
is it?
inordinate number of copies of Daredevil 208.
Okay.
Daredevil 208. I've joked with friends like this should be a podcast. Just the one book that got you, that like brought you into the
Yeah,
culture.
for sure.
Yeah, Daredevil 208. It's up on my wall over there, and I have like 10 to 15 other copies in a box. Um,
Awesome.
um, Daredevil 208. My cousin got me into reading comic books, and it's one of the first books I went out and bought on my own. No, I saw his copy, and then I ran out to buy my own copy.
Okay, nice.
And I think I've been chasing the feeling, that dragon, for my entire life. But 208 is Daredevil walking into a completely booby-trapped house. From the moment he walks in to, spoiler, when he gets out of that house at the end, it's a page turner, like what's going to happen when he opens that door? Like the floor slides out from beneath him, and he falls into some pit where alligator. Like it's just one. Like it's almost like Indiana Jones adventure after another. Like the opening scene, the Indiana Jones, right, where he's trying to get the island.
Yeah.
Imagine a whole comic of that.
So it
Right?
captivated you right from the
Oh,
beginning.
completely hooked me. And the funny thing is, looking back at it now, I didn't realize that the artist who drew it would be one of my favorite artists of all time.
Prolific, Mr. David Mazzucchelli.
Yep. Dave Mazzucchelli, and like, man, what an efficiency of line! What an amazing storyteller. It was also during the era that Miller was writing Daredevil and Mazzucchelli was drawing. So like that book alone, I can open it up right now and still just get the same feeling flipping through all those pages. It brings you right back to being 12 years old.
Yeah. Do you have the artist edition of that, the Mazzucchelli Daredevil stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, I ran
Amazing
out and grabbed
stuff. And what about the Batman Year One artist edition?
Yep, got that too.
You're my kind of guy. I had a feeling we're drowning in artist editions over here.
Oh yeah. I joke with my wife because a package will show up, and I'm like, it's another adult comic, and it sounds like it's an adult comic. It sounds like it's something else, but that's where we're at my age. Like, this is where I want to invest my money in. I know I just spent over $100 on this massive book, but it's an incredible book.
I'm telling you, and as somebody who loves art and loves to draw, and we like seeing the underlying creative process. So when we dig into those artist editions, we're taking in that art in a completely different way than just a regular individual is, right? Because we're trying to study the tricks of the trade and trying to get a little look under the hood and see like the base sketch, the thumbnail underneath, the blue lines, all the mistakes and the corrections, and like that's like we geek out over that stuff.
Oh man, are you kidding? You're not kidding. Like that's the juice right there. You're just sitting there. I think where other people see like, oh look, he messed up here, and you're like, to me that's like, no, he changed his mind. So
yes,
like look at how much more powerful this composition was, because he started over here but ended up over this way. And Jesus, like I think the scale, thank goodness they print them at that scale, because understanding like I can always tell how new an artist is by how thin their lines are.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, because they don't realize that once that gets reduced down, you're not going to be able to see any of that detail.
Right. Or even the understanding of a line like variation and width, and like going from thick to thin. Like I have the Walter Simonson version too of the Thor artist edition, and like he's my Jack Kirby. I like no disrespect to the King. Like I get it. Jack Kirby is dynamic and everything he did, but for me, not being specifically of that era, Walter Simonson is my Jack Kirby. And like, you open up this book, and the simplicity of some of the things he does with that forced perspective and the chunkiness of line and like how thick those lines are, and that translates to a comic. And I feel like a lot of younger artists don't understand having that line weight and understanding why a thick line over here, or even an incomplete line, like that doesn't have to be connected all the way around the figure, gives it this energy.
You let the person's mind fill in the gaps when you do that.
Yeah. So, looking at these books and the scale of these books, it's a masterclass every time you open up those books. I have Bill Sienkiewicz's book too, and if there's any artist I've ever chased, it would be him. And
phenomenal stuff.
Yeah. What he can do, and keep it abstract, but still have something be the message be incredibly clear. There are few people that can do that.
Yeah.
And he is a master at it. So every time you open those books, it's,
I think it's funny that you mentioned, you're not like Walt Simonson is your Kirby, but you're basically via Walt being influenced by Kirby, because that was his biggest influence. And that's Kirby was Walt's, Kirby was his Kirby. So it's Walt was out here like trying to take away those things and implement them in his work. So it's like this beautiful amalgamation of Walt's own style, but with that underlying structure and the dynamism and the forced perspective, all these things that you were talking about, like it was like he made his own version of Kirby that, for people like us who love the art form, you're just like drooling over it.
Well, and it's having that influence, because we all have like the people, like I joked about chasing Bill Sienkiewicz's, but these are massive influences, right? And you spend so much time copying to the point, like I know at least I did, and there's a point where your style comes out of it, right? Mm-hmm. So if I know Walter Simon's style, I see it. I know how he was influenced by Kirby. I can see it in his work, but it's so unique to who he is, right? Like, you can tell a Simonson drawing from across the room.
100%.
Right? I see, like, for example, in Jim Lee, I see John Byrne's influence in Jim Lee. And I know Jim Lee is this very well-educated artist on anatomy, right? I get it, but I still see John Byrne's rib cage.
I was just gonna say that. You took that out of my mind.
Yeah, I can see that rib cage in every one of Jim Lee's drawings. And I'm like, but it's a beautiful thing, right? Being able to connect the dots. I have two kids, and I'm a big hip hop head. And I love who they're influenced. I love who they love now, but they're every so often I go, oh, that comes from this. Yes. And I'm not saying it's better. I'm not here to be like, in my day, this was better. Not at all. It's just like, I just want you to be more informed. So, hey, check this out.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to push it on you. But you can see this evolution when you've been a fan of comic art and art in general for a while. You can see this beautiful evolution with artists. Like I know who Nick Bradshaw, how he was influenced by Arthur Adams.
Oh yeah.
And you can see it. And
he wears it on his sleeve too. I was talking to him about that at a con. I'm like, you liked Arthur Adams a little bit, huh? He's like, oh, 100%. He's like my main influence. Like, you can see it.
Every so often at a con, someone will compare me to another artist. Says, hey, do you like this guy? I see this person in your art. And then they'll proceed to be like, well, I don't mean to insult you, and I'm like, are you kidding me? You just gave me the biggest compliment ever. It's exactly who I was influenced.
That's what I was going for.
Right. You should see that in my art. It should
Yeah.
come through.
Well, we mentioned Walt and Sienkiewicz. Who are some other standouts for you, either back then or currently, as far as artistic influences or just artists that you really admire?
Um, geez, we did mention Arthur Adams, John Byrne, Neil Adams. Like all those guys are of a certain sort of like they're like an era that taught me how to draw.
Yeah.
Like um why am I blanking out so hard right now all of a sudden? And then Bernie Wrightson. Jesus, I can't
Oh,
imagine how
Bernie.
like
Yeah.
yeah, Wrightson.
You talk about the influence chain, you can see Wrightson in Silvestri's work,
Yeah,
especially
absolutely.
especially the newer Silvestri stuff
Mhm.
like the Batman Deadly Duo and all of
Oh,
that, like heavily Bernie
it's
Wrightson
so
influence.
beautiful too.
It's crazy.
All micron pen. That's insane. That is
Insane.
insane.
Yeah,
Um,
he was showing those pages to people like 9 years prior to that coming out. That's how long he had been
oh
working on that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I have a piece I did in micron and I started with like a point 0.5 and a point 0.1 and about halfway through it I was kicking myself because I couldn't because I now have to finish the whole thing in the same pen or else it's gonna look different.
Yep.
Yeah,
Long
it takes a
process.
long time. I'm trying to think of who's a more modern influence. Um,
You looking at like Nick Klein or any of these guys? I mean, there's some standouts. Like for me, yeah, I'm a Ryan Otley fan because I like
right on there.
the dynamics and
Mhm.
the exaggerated nature of his work, the expressions and all of these things. Like, um, yeah, there's so many though. This is the problem for us
Oh yeah,
because I feel like we're discovering a new one every day we open up Instagram too.
yeah. Isn't it great though? Like
It is.
like it's a champagne problem we get to have. Uh,
Yeah.
Pepe Larraz is probably um he's such a massive standout to me. I think what
Yeah.
he does um with his lighting, with his I think the way he poses characters right now is very unique to him. It's a pose
Hmm.
I like even if I drew it, copying it, it wouldn't make any sense. But somehow when he draws it, it's beautiful. And he's not taking like your standard Wolverine coming at you, claws back, shoulders
Hmm.
arch, aggression. He'll do a version of that that's sort of like a moment in between
Yeah.
that they told us not to do, but somehow
Right.
he can do it. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
So
In the movement, the like you said, like he's capturing that different moment, but like he's capturing a part of the movement that's very interesting. Like it makes the figure appear in motion the way he's doing his
yeah,
poses.
yeah, it's like, yeah, exactly. You took this moment in the film where your hero is just before he broke through the screen. You're like, all right, let's push it back like 2 or 3 frames. And that's
Yeah.
the moment I want to capture. And we apparently have been taught not to do that. And he does it better than anybody in the industry right now. Like
Yeah.
it is amazing. Oh, here's someone else. James Heron,
Oh,
who
amazing.
is doing Ultra Mega.
Yeah.
Um, oh my God. I my kid give me grief at how long it takes me to read a comic, but
Mhm.
every panel to me is this beautiful piece of art.
You got to study
Yeah,
it.
I don't know how to get through a comic quickly. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and it's interesting because I kind of do like what you were saying you do with your kids when people they're talking about the hip hop they like and you're reminding them of the influences. Like anybody who talks about Daniel Warren Johnson's style,
yep.
he's heavily influenced by James Herron's work.
It, yeah, and
So
yeah, you can
it's very
see it.
interesting to see that it's in the DNA there.
Yeah, that energy, that movement, those thick lines. it's gorgeous. Yeah, like, oh, we could just go on and on about every diff. Like, I'm looking over at my shelf going like, oh, I love Jolie Jones and everything she does. And,
Yeah.
um,
I often look over at this shelf. One day I'll have to post a picture of the top of it because I'm waiting for it to collapse. Because there's no less than 13 artist editions stacked on the top of it, along with all the stuff that's on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the problem with the artist editions, Manuel. Like at one point they were all over the floor in here too. I was like, where do I put them all?
And for a while you're thinking, oh, they're going to be like 12 by 18. And then you get McFarlane dropping his artist edition. You're like,
yeah,
this is too big to put anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what else I got. Yeah, I've got the Dark Knight up there.
It's a good problem to have, in my opinion.
It is a good problem to have.
Are your comics you picked up? Because I know I'm this way, and people give me grief about it sometimes. Like, I pick up comics based on the art, like who's drawing them. 9 times out of 10 for me.
There are big gaps in my collection because the artists change.
Yep.
The story might have been phenomenal, but I lost the director.
Yep.
I got the writer. The writer's great.
Yeah.
But if I lose the director,
safe to say that you're from the same line of thinking as me, or the same feeling when the story can be great, but if the art really isn't up our alley, like it makes it hard to want to continue reading the book, right?
100%. That's why when you get these dynamic duos, if you will, of writer and artist, you're just like, man, hold on to that. Like, how long you keep them together? And I know everyone wants to spread their wings to do something different, but from a fan point of view, I get it. Like, there's a reason, while Tim Sales was alive, he worked with Jeff Loeb so much.
Yeah.
They're a great combo. My kid sees it. So, but yeah, there's gaps in my collection because the art's changed. And
it's rare. It's interesting how rare it is. It does happen every now and again, but it's incredibly rare where a fill-in artist isn't jarring to the point where it takes you out of it. I mean, it's happened a few times to where we'll be on a run with our favorite artists, and then you'll discover somebody whose work you're like, holy cow, this is amazing. And they're a fill-in person. But more of the time, I feel it's the opposite. It's like, oh man, you totally took me out of it. I'm going to stop buying this for a while.
And to be fair to those artists, it was probably because someone was falling behind.
Yeah.
And they need at least a month to have like an issue fill in or two to catch them up so they can continue on the other end. So
and it's not that they're a bad artist or their style's bad or anything like that. It's just, if it's a drastic stylistic difference, it could just be jarring because you're used to seeing a certain thing, and especially a lot of times if the fill-in artist is a newer artist to the industry, or they're not a seasoned artist, staying on model with the characters. Like there was one book I was reading, and I loved the art and everything's established for 12 issues or more. And then the fill-in person comes in, and it's to the point where you cannot, I don't know that's the same character that I was reading about. Before. Like who's that person is like so much different.
Yeah.
So that's tough, because I know how hard it is though to keep on model with a character. Like making your character look the same from all different angles can be very difficult.
Definitely. I was thinking of Greg Capullo when he took over Spawn and his evolution.
Before he developed his own style that was an amalgamation of him and McFarlane.
Right. And I, as a kid, I wasn't even that much of a kid. I think it was my early 20s by then, watching Capullo take over, but I had to commit to staying on that book because I wanted to be like, well, this is something new.
Me
Like,
too.
I'm not sure I want to wait this out, but I know what he'd done for Marvel. And then I'm so happy I stayed with him because to me,
phenomenal.
Spawn is his now. Like, I know it's Todd's and it's his idea, but that character visually belongs to
my
Capullo.
favorite. I agree. My favorite Spawn, just hands down, is any issue that Capullo did. Just he took Todd's storytelling and choice of camera angles and things and like took it to the next level. He became like this perfect amalgamation. And it's interesting when you look at his like X-Force stuff, and even before that, he was on Kazar. A lot of people don't realize, and it's like it looks more like Ramita. It's like a Ramita, Buscema hybrid or something.
Yeah, he didn't have the permission to do the hard shadows and the big silhouettes. Then the contrast wasn't turned up. The lighting wasn't part of the house style for Marvel then, right? You could have handcuffed your artist a little bit to like showing all the outfit all the time, like no matter who was. If you're gonna put Spidey out there, and then you want to make sure you see all of his webbing, and you want to see all the webs on his uniform and everything. But then getting to Spawn, like the book is supposed to be dark. And like, man, he upped the contrast, he upped the shadows, he changed the lighting. Like, it was like someone had just given him permission to do that. And I guess McFarlane had given him permission to do that. And we're like, all right, good talent. And now, no one drawn like the silhouettes of Spawn Capullo has drawn over the years are just gorgeous.
I got the artist edition, of course, the new one with the Capullo stuff in it from Spawn. And I, as a teen, I got to hang out with some of those guys and, be with them at conventions and things that the shop I worked for would bring them out to. So I got to be next to Capullo when he was working on, at a convention, he was trying to hit a deadline, and he's working on a double-page spread from Spawn. So
you got to see it.
I got to be in the presence of greatness and look at it and just be blown away.
That's fantastic.
Before there were artist editions, I got to see that. Yeah, he's like, I got this deadline. He's like sitting there at the con trying to chip away at it, That's
awesome. So I have, because you have a Greg Capullo, right? I have a Greg Capullo story. Nice. And mine is, I've done enough cons over the years, and I'm at my table that I've been Capullo adjacent, if you will. But I can't take 2 hours, 3 hours to go stand in line.
Oh, I know.
To go meet him, right? But he's an absolute hero, a massive influence. And I was at LA Con, and it was having, like, it was dead. It was over the weekend. It was one of the worst conventions I've had as far as like sales and everything. But I will always love that con because it was Friday, and Greg Capullo was walking around with his wife, Ginny, and they were just sort of making their way through the aisles. I turned to my table, I'm like, I gotta go. I think I jumped over the table. That's how it went in my head, and I ran up to him, and actually I'm like, oh my God, you're Capullo. And I turned to his wife and I apologized. I said, I'm really sorry to interrupt you.
You're like, I'm fanboying here.
I said, you guys are walking around. I know this is important to have this time because the man is just so popular and is always like, in the public eye. And she goes, oh no, honey, you go ahead. He loves talking to folks. So I'm like, oh my God, you gave him permission. So I chatted him up for a while, and he was so friendly. He was so giving, and like so much so that he asked me like, hey, how long have you been drawing? Or when were you drawing? And I said, I joked. I'm like, I've been drawing since algebra class. And he kind of laughed at that. And I go, it bothered my teacher that I could, that's how I focused. I took things in audibly and I could do the problem, but I would be sketching and doodling it on a piece of paper. And he's like, that's how I learned too, brother. And he was like, just pumped up about it. Man, I kept telling him, like, I've taken about enough of your time. You should go back Enjoy your convention. And he kept talking to me, and I'm
Oh,
like,
that's
oh my
so
god, dude, I'm
cool.
trying to give you back your time. And I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
good talking to you. I'm gonna go now. And he goes, don't you want a picture? I'm like, yes, I want a picture.
Oh man,
Yeah,
that's got to
so
be a
generous.
core. That's going to be a core memory.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
something that you'll never forget.
Right.
That's so cool.
I've never even published that photo, and I part of me wanted to like, hey, I met Greg Capullo, put it on my Instagram, but it's like this really like genuine moment that like I
Yeah,
want to just hold on to it.
that's for you, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's really special. Well, Manuel, we're having such a good time that the time is going by quick here. I want to make sure before we start, landing the plane and wrapping things up towards the end of the episode, I want to give you an opportunity. What are you working on these days that you want to make sure people are aware of?
I've done a lot of cons on the West Coast. I'm, like I said, California based, so I'll be at San Diego Comic Con. I do WonderCon every year. I do. I'm in the stock. I'm close to Stockton, which is a great convention there. So you can find me at those spots. Um, year round, going up and down the West Coast. I'll do Emerald City probably again. And right now I'm just kind of working, trying to get my own book out. So Red Tape
Okay.
is the name of my book. It's a dark comedy about the afterlife. I've got a 10-page preview out that's sort of a kind of a proof of concept of the book to see. To
Gotcha.
give you something fun I'm doing. Don't take
Is that
myself too
preview
seriously.
available online?
You can hit me up on Instagram to get it. I
Okay.
haven't put it up on my store yet. And that's under Manuel Martinez Art. And that's a .com, and that's also at for my Instagram.
Hit
But
him with the name of the book again.
Red Tape.
That's the red tape. That's the one I got the preview of already
Yes. Yes.
from ECC.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Like I said, it's a fun book. Um, any excuse to draw chase scenes, monsters, and irreverent characters, I'm all in.
Yeah. Are you keeping it pretty close to the vest as far as the direction you're going with it and the scope of the project? Are you teasing people with that preview and not giving us
No,
much more
no,
info?
I give the pitch all the time. I give the pitch.
What's the pitch? What's the
So,
pitch?
so the dark comedy about the afterlife is like the quick sort of throwing it out there, but really what it is um, the idea is that uh, no matter where a soul goes, it has to be processed through heaven. Heaven is like a big blue company; they're corporate, right?
Okay.
So if the soul goes to heaven, hell, or all points in between, its first appointment is heaven, right? It has to go through the red tape, to the process of,
Right.
of being assigned where it's going to go. And in my fictional heaven, everyone gets their work done every day, and it's a machine that works perfectly. So the idea is like, what happens if they lose a soul? And I have some of my protagonists are these three angels who are kind of bored with perfection. So they're like, what happens if we lose a soul and they happen to lose one? What they didn't expect is all of heaven to shut down.
Oh,
And now
okay.
heaven needs to run an audit to figure out where this soul is gone. And the soul had no place to go because they had no paperwork. So it went back into the body of this homeless guy who got killed.
Ah,
And sort of hilarity ensues, right? The angels figured out that the only way they can get that soul back into processing is to go kill the guy and cover their own butts. They're trying to cover their own asses.
there you go.
Um,
That's such a unique concept,
so
man.
yeah, so that's the opening. That's the direction the story's going in, and we'll get fun interruptions. But it's sort of like, what if you took the guys from Office Space and gave them guns
There you go. I
and
love
told
it.
them to be mercenaries? They're going to be
Yeah.
awful at it, right? So I thought it was a funny concept to run with. And you'll meet more characters along the way. The 10-page preview shows you Earl, who is a Grim Reaper. And he's sort of like our hub that we tell the story through. He's there for a lot of things. He hates being a Grim Reaper. He hates wearing the uniform. He looks like a biker you'd meet at a bar to have a drink with. Um, but it was sort of to give you the feel of what the universe is going to feel like.
Yeah, and the art is amazing, dude.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I love the art. You, being an art geek, I haven't got to read the whole thing, but I flipped through and looked at all the awesome art.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I know. That's how I read the majority of my comics.
Yeah. I reread it with our eyes and take in the art and don't always process the dialogue.
Yeah, but that's what I'm working on, and it's been a fun process. It's been years in the making.
Now, are you pitching this around to publishers? Are you thinking you're going to crowdfund? What's your direction?
I'm going to self-publish. I'm part of a small indie publishing company called 10 Ton Press, and we've got it's three of us, and we've all got working titles on there. But John Hagman, Mel Smith, we've all we're all writers or artists, and we distribute really at cons, and we get stuff to comic shops as well. But we'll publish under us as a small indie press, and
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I feel we have more tools to facilitate that nowadays than we've ever had before.
Absolutely. 100%. And from print on demand to
everything.
Yeah. And the quality of the stuff you're getting is really great. Like before you couldn't say that. Now.
No.
That's amazing.
Yeah, there's several different, I know Comics Wellspring is like one that's popped up here not too long ago. They do decent stuff. I've heard of several others to where, creators can get small runs of books done very affordably as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And like anything, the more you print, the better the deal is. But if you want a few things on demand at a reasonable price where you can still make a profit, if you're the one selling them at a con or distributing them yourself, then it's out there. Mix'em is great.
Yeah, Mix'em is one a lot of my friends use. Yeah, and I've had a couple of friends use Comics Wellspring and say that they do decent stuff too. So, yeah, it's definitely set up where I think a creator could do well self-publishing depending on how good they are at promoting their work and getting it out there in front of people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you find that you make most of your sales online, or are you selling most of your stuff when you're at the cons?
I sell most of my stuff at cons.
Okay.
I'm looking for a better online presence. I would love to generate a sort of a passive income with my prints online somewhere. So that'd be nice. I'm looking into that. I'm not sure how to do it well or consistently. But I think I do well at conventions, and part of it is this, right? I love talking to people.
Yeah.
Like even if you don't buy anything about me, I'll talk to you. I'm a no pressure sales guy. The fact that my art got your attention enough to stop, I'm already winning. Like that's a W for me. I mean, like you, we're probably going to talk art. Like, great.
100%.
Right.
Yeah, we could literally sit here and probably talk for 6 hours just about all the art that we love and never run out of anything to talk about.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about it without having broken out any piece. Or like, can you imagine if we grabbed a book right now and be like, let's talk about this book. Like, that's podcast on its own right there.
Do you collect any original art?
I do.
Okay. That's a slippery slope, isn't it?
It's because it gets expensive fast.
The artist editions are way more affordable, even though they are over $100. Way more affordable than the originals.
I'm lucky enough to do enough cons that every so often I sit next to someone who's either a hero of mine or we end up in a good conversation. Yeah. Like I've sat next to and can call him a friend now. Mark Dixer.
Oh, amazing.
And over a weekend.
I loved his Wolverine.
Oh, yeah. Oh, his Wolverine and his Ghost Rider.
It's like made for Wolverine.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I ended up buying a sketch for him, and he gave me this massive discount because we were just
Oh
chatting it up
man.
all weekend. He's like, which one do you want? He's such a New Yorker, and he's like always his head is running 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
But man, he was like, flip through, pick the one you want. I got this Captain America head sketch he was doing.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. So I've got a few pieces here and there.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, it's such a cool thing, especially I own some pages and seeing it like when you pick up the actual book and see, how it changes with the color on it and everything else, and you can compare. Like, it's really something special to hold and know that that's been in print and millions of people have seen it, and I have the one, the only one.
Do you pick up have you picked up the unwrapped version of books? Like,
yes.
Like they did Hush and
several of them over here.
Yeah, over here. That's
all the Capullo stuff, all the Finch ones, all the all the Jim Lee ones. I can't get enough because I really love seeing the pencils.
Oh, me too.
It's one thing to see the inked versions, but I really love to study the penciled stuff. So that for me, that's I consider myself more of a penciler, so that's the stage I really like to study.
It's beautiful to see. That's one of the reasons I love the fact that we're sending stuff across digitally for someone to ink a blue line printout, and we get to keep the original pencils.
Yes.
And I know there's been a point of contention for a lot of people, like, oh, it's only original if it was inked over the original pencils.
No,
sure,
I think
that's fine.
It's cool. I love it all. I have a few Otley pages where I have the inked one and the penciled one because he had both.
That's super cool.
Because he did that. He printed it out and inked the blue line so he could also have the penciled version to sell. So yeah, I have some Invincible pages that are like that. It's really cool to have both,
That's super cool. I picked up a Ryan Sook piece. He was doing, Mick Gray was inking it, and it was a Huckman run. And I got a couple pages, and they're just gorgeous to look at.
Awesome, Manuel. Well, as we wrap things up, I want to grab this. Hold on. Because I'm going to do the shameless self-promotion for you.
Oh, thank you.
We got red tape. Tell everybody where to follow you online and where they can get this. All the different places to find you and check out your amazing art.
Thanks for pulling
all this
out.
Stuff.
Yeah,
let everybody know where they can find it.
You can find me at manuelmartinezart.com or at Manuel Martinez Art. That's to my Instagram or my website. So both of them will connect you there. And if you message me through Insta, the majority of my business is done through Instagram.
Perfect.
I'm happy to take commissions or send you a book or a print. I usually have there's example all up and down my Instagram or on my website of stuff I sell and print. I'm happy to ship.
Awesome, Manuel. Well, listen, I've had so much fun with you today. I could talk your ear off about art forever. I feel like we're going to need to do this again, man.
I'm game, man. This is super fun.
Awesome. Well, listen, hang out with me for a moment here. Everybody who's listening and watching, make sure you go out and support Manuel's art. And I will put all the pertinent links in the description for you guys. I want to thank our Patreon members. We have Mr. Brandon Paul. He is B Paul Art on Instagram. We have Mr. Michael Gardner. It's me, Mike G on Instagram. Shout out to both of them being paid Patreon members. They get each week's episode 48 hours early, as well as other bonus perks. If you want to be like them and get early access to the pod, make sure to head on over to patreon.com/Nerdy Mewzings. And in the meantime, everybody, keep it nerdy.